What is going on, fellas, and welcome back to Hungary for Success with me, FoggyPlays, on FM21. Today, we're going to be looking at how we've been doing up to this point in the season, because we have had a couple of months off because of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, and we're going to play Meshkoved. Also, have a look at some of the transfers we've done, because we've actually been rather busy in the first week. So, if you do want to enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Let's get into the video. Right, fellas, so the last episode you saw, we beat Depression just about in the Hungarian Cup, 3-2. And then, you know, I was saying earlier in the season, we've had a jam-packed season and we were doing so much, playing so many games, it was insane. Yeah, we went and played a whole bunch of friendlies. Somewhat unnecessarily. But in between that, we also had a league game against Fasas, which we won 2-1 rather comfortably. We were a little disappointing. Hood Wagner was a bit poor on the day, but yeah, it's fine. We have had offers for players up to this point. Some of them quite interesting, and I did actually accept a bunch of offers, and they all got the players rejected most of the offers that I accepted, which would have been quite nice. Like Gabriel had, was it 850,000 or something to Kijverde, and he was like, nah, nah, nah. And I was like, oh, okay. In the Hungarian third round, the Hungarian Cup third round, we won 4-2. Humbert Fridjansson scoring 4 goals. Would you believe all of them were headers? Interesting, seeing as though he's 6'5". The man's a beast. Oh. But yeah, like I said, we're taking on Meshkoved today. Not much has happened league-wise since we were here last. We are currently in 4th, doing a pretty okay time so far. Like I said, we've played so many games this year. It's actually insane. But we've managed 23, so only 6 points behind Meshkoved, who we played today. Vancouveras could potentially jump above them. Unfortunately, like you saw in the last episode, we got knocked out of the Europa Conference League. It's disappointing, but we live on to fight another day. We have done some transfers. Gabriel was actually 750,000 for Gabriel. But we have had offers for some of our players, like On Guard, 250k. Not selling them for 250k. 2 of our players we're looking to send out on loan. Adam Nemeth, who is running out of contract, has had a £5,000 offer from Gentlerich, who, by all means, be delighted. If he hadn't picked up that injury, I think he would have been a first team player for quite some time. The plan, or as you can see from the signings previously, a lot of them quite young players. We kind of changed that of late. Signing Theo Walcott, who you'd be happy to know is absolutely falling apart. Physically is not as good as he used to be, so that's disappointing. He only has 1 year deal, or 1 year left on his deal after this season, so he's got basically signed him on a 2 year deal. He's fallen apart already, not great. We did sign Mortiz Leitner, who is a player that I absolutely adore. He's fantastic. Played 50 times for Norwich. Unfortunately, never actually played a game. And if you look at it, played 2 friendlies in 2 seasons, which is delightful. He's played a cup game for us already. He was acceptable. But we also signed Paul Carlsberg, who is a 19-year-old Faroese international. He's driven. I don't know why. I'm assuming he was released because he thinks he knew he's too good for Scala. 19 assists last season. I think this guy could be pretty decent. So we'll see how he gets on in the Hungarian division. Players that have left, on the other hand, there's been some. Michael Vang has left us for 12.25k. He was never really a first team player. The fans were surprisingly happy that he left. Casiedo made his loan permanent, as did Alader Pitre, who I'm kind of disappointed in Pitre because I thought he was going to be like one of our best players. He was fine. We made 6,500 off him on with the loan and the transfer. Casiedo 8,000. I take it. He was another one of those players where I had high hopes for him. Just never really did anything. Zima has gone out on loan to Hanvid because that's where all our players go. Hanvid just just scooping up all their players, and we just sent a bunch of players out on loan that were probably not going to get much first team football. In terms of the In terms of the Hungarian national team job, Marco Rossi hasn't lost his job yet. To be fair, they didn't make it to the World Cup. So we'll do a quick little World Cup review. It was won by Italy. It was in. Oh, my mouse decided to stop working at the absolute perfect time. So World Cup, it was won by Italy. Which, we'll have a quick look at the groups and see was there any major surprises. Qatar not scoring a goal. I've already had a quick look at this. Qatar didn't score a goal, not surprising. Group B, South Korea, quite unfortunate not to actually beat France or to make it through, but they had France and Portugal in their group. Turkey get knocked out by Saudi Arabia, who everyone in FM will know. Saudi Arabia, an absolute worldly of a team for some reason. USA didn't pick up a single point. Senegal got knocked out by Greece, which I can't imagine they'd be overly impressed with themselves after that. Ukraine finished bottom of their group. Australia beating Mexico to qualification. It's interesting. Burkina Faso and Japan getting quite a difficult group of Holland and Argentina. My mouse decided to stop working again. Burkina Faso beating Japan in the group. Germany didn't qualify. Norway topped their group and Colombia in second. Poor Jamaica, who I've seen win the World Cup many times, got themselves fourth. Italy and Spain going through in their group. Iran actually beat Egypt, which was not expected. Surprises in the next round? None. Quarterfinals, England beat Portugal. It's a bit of a surprise. Brazil beating France. And Holland beating Spain, I'd say, would be somewhat of a turn up for the books. The semi-finals, Holland beat England, and Italy absolutely demolished Brazil 4-0. England beat Brazil after extra time 3-1, and then in the final went to penalties. So England probably delighted they didn't make it there because they would have lost, because it is England after all. Italy beating Holland 2-2 on penalties. So that's good for them, I guess. The season so far has been pretty okay. Like I said, we've been quite busy. We've played 31 games already. Because Hood Wagner and Pereira are the only two goalkeepers that have played for us. We've been busy. We've had a time. Who's actually played? I'm guessing, I was going to say Hood Wagner has probably played the most games for us, and he has. The man is an absolute monster. Hood Wagner, star player without a doubt. This man, he had a really good season last year. He's having a pretty good season this year as well. So we're going to hope that we can continue that. Ferencváros take on Puskás Academia. This should be an interesting game. Puskás have been quite good, but you can see the league is still exceptionally tight. There is, if you go back to Kisvárda, there's a 12-point gap between first and ninth. 10 points cover the top 8. And then there's a little bit of a gap back to Dischiori, and then Vas and Shagid not having a great time. They're having a bad time. Very, very bad time. So for this game, we have our squad is quite large. I haven't kind of gone through and gotten rid of a bunch of players yet. There's a lot of players who do need to move on, but Puskás is injured for this game. Nevrela is looking like he's leaving for Ferencváros, and Puskás Academia does not want to talk to us because we didn't play him. And Garbutt's also been recalled by Wolves. His loan ended and I just didn't bother extending it. It's the same with like Wang Jiho. I'm probably just going to send him back to Wolves. But is it Derlatka? Yeah, Derlatka was supposed to be recalled. Hasn't been. Is he actually? No, he's getting better. Okay, I thought he was getting worse for a second there. But we're starting this game today against Meshkovet, top of the league, with Hood Wagner in goal, Pirelevsku on guard as our wingbacks, Derek and Markella in central defence, Tyfenbach and Ortiz as our central midfield, Versace and Carlsberg as our wide men behind Fred Janssen and Monazimi up front. Theo Walcott, he's just been a little bit injured recently. He's not a little bit injured. He's just been struggling a small bit. Leitner's happy to see Ortiz back in the team. Because we had a friendly in the last game, the changes don't really mean anything because we just kind of put out a rotated side for the last game. Just testing a couple of players to see what they would do. So we've just kind of, we're just doing our thing. Who did we? I think we drew. Did I already mention Kishvarda in the next round of the Hungarian Cup? We are struggling a little bit to field a decent team for that because we have so many non-EU players, and you could only have 5 in the squad. So of the 18 players you can name, 5 of them can't or can be non-EU. And as you might have noticed, we've quite a number of non-EU players. Theo Walcott didn't count as a non-EU player, but now he does. I'm not sure why. Like originally he didn't count as it, but I think he's changed for some reason. And Monazimi, somehow puts that into the back of the net. Did not expect that to happen. He's been a little bit hit and miss recently, but then again, most of our strikers have been. That was an interesting effort, which went into the back of that. I'm not going to complain. But yeah, we've had some interesting goings on of late. Suarez has been typhing back, and he's after picking up a booking for that as well, I think. Yeah, we've a lot of non-EU players in the team. Hood Wagner almost got a hold of that. We've had players coming up to me and saying that they wanted to leave because they didn't think they were going to be regular first team players, such as Marcelo Suarez. I'm just no. I'd rather you didn't leave because you're going to be one of our players next year that will count as homegrown at club. Same with Gabriel. So even though Gabriel had an offer and I accepted it, I prefer if he didn't leave because we definitely need players such as himself in the team if we want to be able to do something in European competition. Because as it was this year, we had no homegrown players registered for the Champions League or for the Europa Conference League. So we didn't have anyone in the team that was brought through our academy that was over 21. We do have Barna and Giersik, but they weren't registered to play because 21 didn't need to register them. Wouldn't have made any difference because had I registered them, it would have still. I couldn't register anyone in their places. But we're struggling a little bit in the last 10 minutes or so against Meshkoved, and Markella almost put that into the back of our net. That would not have been ideal, and I think Discure just taking the lead against Uish Pest. No, Tiefenbach actually had that yellow card already. Mortiz Leitner's wound up. Oh, Derek put a diving header save off the line. That's what you want to see. Commitment from the defensive line. We haven't seen much of our attacking force yet. A little bit unexpected. Versace, Ortiz, and Carlsberg just a little bit of a quiet game so far. Frid Johnson and Monazimi are having okay games, but no one else seems to be doing fantastically. Pirilevsku doesn't give away a penalty. He's pretty good at giving away penalties. I will say that. Thankfully, not this time. I'm just kind of hoping that Carlsberg can get everything going, and that's such a soft goal to concede right before half time as well. Like that's just right on the stroke of half time. I'm going to thrash my arms and say it's not good enough. We are going to have a chat with the wide men. Actually, we're going to have a chat with the entire midfield. Point finger, you can still improve. Defenders, I have faith in you. Attackers, I'm not happy with your finishing. I say it to Monazimi after he scores an absolute worldie of a goal, which was very unexpected. Well, you saw the way he hit it. It was not very good. Versace just wasn't great. Not good. We're going to put Carlsberg to inside forward on attack. Let's see if that makes a difference. We did agree to sign him earlier in the winter. We just kept him at the club on trial until such a time as he was available to be registered. and then came in, played a couple of friendlies. Was actually really good in the friendlies. Has just not been at it today. To be fair, that was a very, very good cross into the area of answer. Oh my, Uj Pest of absolute Zen Medved. He's the guy I was going to say instead of Frid Janssen, but decided to go to Uj Pest instead, and we took on the 6'5" Icelandic tank instead of a Slovenian monster. We're going to chuck a demand more at the players because they're not really doing enough at the minute. Typhon back looks like he wants to come off. Versace's playing terribly. I'm going to bring on Theo Walcott on the right. Typhon back can come off because he's just not been great. We're going to put Leitner as the advanced playmaker because that's what I told him I'd play him as. And other than that, Ortiz is not playing great. We don't have a central midfielder on the bench to take his place. So we're just going to point your finger and say, I demand. Morty's Leitner's frustrated. Hopefully he can go out there and channel that frustration into, a goal. I don't want to lose to Meshkoved, because that would lose us 3 more points when we're already 6 behind. It looks like we're going to, though. No. Thankfully, they headed over from quite a close distance. Ojpest absolutely, I think Disgiori, by scoring that first goal, angered the Ojpest players, because they've really come out with a vengeance in the second half. We're going to bring on... Gabriel. Make him an advanced forward. Monazimi can be a poacher. Monazimi's progression has been quite poor of late. Carlsberg now wants to come off, but he's going to sit there, just continue doing football until such a time as the final whistle goes. He's just has to sit there and run around for 10 more minutes. Hood Wagner says not today. Gobbles the ball up. We don't have to worry about it. Theo Walcott can't win the header because he's short. The referee was running in the opposite direction of play. We're going to berate the lads and see if that'll do something. No? Oh, well, there's no point making any changes now. We have a minute left. We're going to lose to Meshkoved. Ortiz on guard. Versace. Shocking. That, my friends, was not a good enough result. Drop out of the... So we've lost... We're down to 5th now. MTK did beat Fasas. You've got to be, Fasas must be really disappointed. They're having, one of those seasons where everything is going wrong for them. Disgiori shouldn't have scored first, I feel like. Vasquez scored 4 goals. Yep. And now we've got... Potentially, we could fall behind Hanvid. But we can't drop behind Pushkash, because they've only got... unless they score 6. If they score 6, then we're screwed. Ferencváros and Fervar, who used to be Videothon, are playing later today, so we might get the result from that game. We have a scout meeting to attend because we are in a transfer window. We joined from a part-time team. Interesting. So when are we going to come back next? I think maybe Ferencváros, and then we'll do a roundup of the transfers and maybe youth intake, which looks meh. Don't expect much from this youth intake. I never do. We've a promising centre back. Wide midfielders look like great prospects. 2 forwards considered fine. A wing back who's very highly rated, which that'll be interesting to see what we get with the high. We'll be keeping an eye on a wing back, and 1 Hungarian striker who is one of these forwards who's caught the eye. So that'll be interesting to see what the youth intake looks like. Probably not going to be amazing. But yeah, we'll be back for the Ferencváros game in the next episode. We're going to jump ahead a little bit because the season's dragging on way too much because of how Europe went, and it looks like we're in a fight for Europe again this year, which would be fantastic. So if you have enjoyed this episode, do make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share with all of your friends, and I will see you in the next one.